The first card on the table is the Knight of Pentacles, and immediately this tells me something very important about your story. This is not random energy. This is not someone casually drifting towards you. This is slow burning, serious, intentional movement. And that is exactly why this reading is already starting with a plot twist. Because there are two energies moving toward you right now. One is coming from the past. One is coming from a place you have not fully opened your heart to yet. One carries regret. One carries purity. One is returning because they finally understand what they lost. The other is arriving because they already recognize what you are. And you are standing right in the middle of both. The Knight of Pentacles is not fast in the reckless sense. This is not chaotic movement. This is not someone rushing in just because they are lonely at midnight. This is someone who has been thinking, planning, watching, reconsidering, measuring every step before they make it. And that is where this gets intense. The regretful person from your past has not been as detached as they wanted you to believe. They may have acted cold. They may have pretended they moved on. They may have made it look like walking away from you was easy. But emotionally, they have been carrying the weight of that decision much longer than you know. They thought you were replaceable, but they were wrong. And the Knight of Pentacles is showing that this realization did not hit them all at once. It built slowly, day by day, conversation by conversation. Every time someone else failed to understand them the way you did. Every time another connection felt empty. Every time they looked for your energy in someone who could never carry it. But here is the other side of this card. While they were realizing your worth, you were rebuilding your own. You are not the same person they left. The version of you they remember is not the version they are about to meet. You have become steadier, wiser, more selective, less willing to chase someone who should have known how to stay. And now, one love is returning from regret, while another love is arriving from purity. The universe is placing both in your path for a reason. You are the plot twist. And now the next card coming through is the Seven of Swords in reverse. And this is important because this is the card that tells me the truth is not staying hidden anymore. Whatever was avoided, whatever was denied, whatever was left unsaid, it is starting to come back up. Not because you forced it, not because you chased it, not because you begged someone to finally be honest with you, but because your silence created pressure. And sometimes, silence is louder than any message you could have sent. The Seven of Swords in reverse shows someone realizing they cannot keep running from what they did. They cannot keep hiding behind excuses. They cannot keep pretending that their choices did not affect you or that their absence did not leave something unfinished between you. For a while, this person may have thought they got away with it emotionally. They may have thought they could avoid accountability by disappearing. They may have thought if enough time passed, the guilt would soften. They may have thought if they distracted themselves with other people, other conversations, other versions of comfort, they would not have to face the truth. But the truth followed them. And that is why this energy feels so serious. Because the Knight of Pentacles was already showing slow, intentional movement. But now, the Seven of Swords in reverse is showing why that movement is becoming necessary. Someone is reaching a point where they cannot keep carrying the secret of how much they still feel. They know they mishandled you. They know they were not fully honest. They know there were things they avoided saying because saying them would have required vulnerability, and at the time, they were not strong enough for that. But here is where the power has shifted. You stopped trying to pull the truth out of them. You stopped trying to decode every silence. You stopped standing at the door of someone's confusion, waiting for them to invite you into clarity. You stepped back. You healed in places they thought would keep bleeding. You became quiet in a way that made your energy unreachable. And now they feel it. The version of you they expected to wait is not waiting anymore. The version of you they expected to chase is not chasing anymore. The version of you they thought they could return to whenever they were ready has changed the locks emotionally. And that is what is making them nervous. And the card coming through now is the Ace of Wands. So now we know why this pressure is building. Because this is not just regret sitting quietly in the background anymore. This is regret turning into desire. This is regret becoming restless. This is someone feeling a spark they thought they had buried, and now that spark is starting to move through them in a way they cannot ignore. The Ace of Wands is that sudden inner pull. That moment where someone who has been quiet too long suddenly feels like they need to do something. Say something. Reach out. Create an opening. Find a way back into your energy. But here is the thing. This person may not come in showing the full depth of what they feel at first. They may come in casually. They may test the temperature. They may send something small, something simple, something that looks innocent on the surface. They may act like they are just checking on you, just curious, just seeing how you have been. But underneath that, there is way more happening, because this Ace of Wands is not giving me empty curiosity. It is giving me a person who is emotionally stirred up, a person who has been trying to distract themselves, but the distraction is not working anymore. A person who keeps remembering something about you that no one else has been able to recreate. And that is where the regret becomes very personal. They may have met other people. They may have tried to convince themselves that connection is connection, that attention is attention, that anyone could fill the space you left behind. But they were wrong, because your energy had a certain warmth to it, a certain patience, a certain honesty, a certain way of making them feel seen without forcing them to perform. And now, when they compare other connections to yours, something feels missing. Not because you were perfect, but because you were real. And they know that now. They may not admit it out loud yet, but internally, they are feeling the difference between what entertained them and what actually touched them. They are feeling the difference between what was easy to access and what was rare to find. They are feeling the difference between a temporary spark and the kind of presence that stays with someone long after they lose access to it. And your healing is making that even stronger, because you are not reaching back. You are not feeding the old cycle. You are not standing in the same place emotionally, waiting for them to decide whether they value you. And that is why they are watching. They are not just thinking about returning. They are watching the way you are becoming someone they are no longer sure they can reach. And now the card coming through is Strength in Reverse. And this tells me something very different about the second energy. Because where the past person is stirred up restless, and starting to feel the pressure of losing access to you, this new love does not feel like pressure. It feels calm. It feels patient. It feels like someone who does not need to overpower your life in order to have a place in it. Strength in reverse can sometimes speak to vulnerability, to softening, to the places inside you that are still learning how to trust without bracing for impact. And that is why this new love may feel unfamiliar at first, because they are not coming in like chaos. They are not coming in with confusion. They are not coming in hot and cold, pulling you close one day and making you question yourself the next. They are not asking you to shrink, chase, prove, compete, or decode them. And for someone who has been through a connection where love felt like emotional survival, that can feel strange. Peace can feel strange. Consistency can feel strange. Someone meaning what they say and then actually matching it with their actions can feel strange. But this new energy is not weak just because it is gentle. That is the message of this card. This is a different kind of strength. Not the kind that dominates. Not the kind that makes you nervous. Not the kind that keeps you attached through uncertainty. This is the kind of strength that allows honesty. The kind of strength that makes room for emotional safety. The kind of strength that does not need to wound you just to make you feel connected. And that is where the plot twist becomes even deeper. Because the person from the past may be returning because they finally feel the absence of your energy. But this new person, they are arriving because they can feel the presence of who you are now. They do not need to lose you to understand your value. They do not need to watch you walk away before they realize you mattered. They do not need your silence to teach them how rare you are. They see it earlier, they feel it clearer, and that may be exactly why part of you hesitates. Because this kind of love does not hit the same wound. It does not activate the same chase. It does not make your nervous system confuse anxiety with chemistry. So when this person comes in, you may not recognize it immediately, not because it is not real, but because, for once, it does not hurt the same way. And now the card coming through is the Emperor. And this is where your inner conflict starts to make sense. Because the Emperor is about structure, stability, a kind of energy that does not have to keep proving itself through noise. This is not someone spinning you in circles. This is not emotional guessing. This is not the kind of connection where you have to keep asking yourself where you stand. This is presence. This is steadiness. This is someone who knows how to show up in a way that feels grounded. But when you have been through something intense, something unfinished, something that made your heart feel like it had to fight for safety, steadiness can feel confusing at first. Because part of you may still be used to the old rhythm, the waiting, the wondering, the sudden warmth followed by distance, the little signs that kept you holding on, the hope that maybe this time they would finally say what you needed them to say. Maybe this time they would finally choose you without making you feel like you had to earn it. And that kind of connection can leave an imprint. Not because it was healthy, but because it was familiar. So when something calmer comes in, when someone approaches you with more consistency, more respect, more emotional control, it may not immediately feel exciting in the way chaos once felt exciting. It may feel quiet. It may feel too easy. It may even make you question whether there is enough there. but that is only because your heart is learning a new language. The Emperor is showing me that this new energy may not come in begging for attention. They may not flood you with dramatic words. They may not make you feel addicted to their unpredictability. Instead, they may show you something different. Reliability, effort, emotional maturity. Someone who does not need to destabilize you in order to feel powerful. And that is exactly why this moment is so important. Because one part of you may still feel pulled toward the person who left questions behind. But another part of you is quietly recognizing that peace is not emptiness. Peace is not boredom. Peace is not the absence of love. Peace may be the first sign that your heart is finally safe enough to stop bracing. And that is the part that might scare the past person the most. Because the next energy shows they may come back right when you begin feeling safe with someone new. And now the card coming through is the Six of Wands. And this is exactly the energy I was feeling, because the Six of Wands is recognition. It is visibility. It is someone seeing you in a different light. It is the moment where your energy is no longer hidden, no longer waiting quietly in the background, no longer available only to the person who failed to appreciate it. This is you being noticed. And that is where the past person starts to feel something shift. They may sense that other people are seeing you now. They may notice that you are carrying yourself differently. They may see that you are not moving with the same sadness, the same longing, the same open door they once assumed would always be there. And for them, that changes everything. Because when you were waiting, they had time. When you were hurting, they had distance. When you were still emotionally attached, they could convince themselves that nothing was truly lost. But now, with this Six of Wands, your energy feels elevated. You are not begging to be chosen. You are being recognized. You are being admired. You are becoming someone whose absence is not just felt by the past, but noticed by the new. And that is what triggers the fear of replacement. Not because this person suddenly became more loving overnight. Not because they suddenly woke up as the healed version of themselves, but because they are realizing that the space they left empty may not stay empty much longer. Someone else could step in, someone else could treat you better, someone else could see what they ignored. And this is where the timing becomes very important, because they may not have moved when you were waiting for them. They may not have spoken when your heart needed answers. They may not have shown up when showing up would have meant accountability. But the moment you begin to feel lighter, the moment your energy starts to return to you, the moment someone new begins to recognize your worth without needing to be taught, that is when the past may feel pressure. That is when they may suddenly want to be seen by you again. But there is a difference between someone returning because they love you clearly and someone returning because they are afraid someone else will. One comes from sincerity. One comes from fear. And the next card is going to show exactly how you will be able to tell the difference. And now the card coming through is the Hierophant. And this is the difference. Because the Hierophant is not just about words. It is not just about someone saying the right thing in the right moment because they feel you slipping away. This is about values, consistency, integrity, what someone actually believes love requires from them when nobody is forcing them to show up. And that is how you will know. The regretful person may come in with emotion. They may come in with memories. They may remind you of what you had. They may bring up the past, the chemistry, the connection, the moments that still live somewhere inside you. They may say they have been thinking about you. They may say they miss you. They may say things have not been the same. But the Hierophant asks a deeper question. Have they changed their pattern? Not just their mood, not just their tone, not just the intensity of their message when they feel afraid of losing you, their pattern. Because regret can sound very convincing when someone is scared. Regret can speak beautifully when it feels the door closing. Regret can remember everything good once it realizes someone else may receive what it took for granted. But pure love moves differently. The other energy will not just ask for access to you. They will respect the process of earning your trust. They will not rush you past your own discernment. They will not make you feel guilty for needing consistency. They will not expect your heart to reopen just because they are finally ready. One may come in trying to revive what was. The other will help you feel safe with what is. One may speak from fear. The other will move from alignment. One may want reassurance that they still matter to you. The other will care whether you feel emotionally safe with them. And that is why this card feels so powerful here. Because the Hierophant is showing that your next chapter is not just about who wants you. It is about who has the emotional maturity to love you in a way that matches your growth. You are not being asked to fall for words anymore. You are being asked to notice structure, notice effort. Notice whether someone's actions can hold the weight of what their mouth is saying. Because this time, your heart is not the same heart that accepted confusion just to keep a connection alive. This time, your choice will reveal something. Not about them, about how much you have truly healed. And now the card coming through is Moonlight in reverse. And this is why that healing matters so much. Because Moonlight in reverse tells me that something inside you is coming out of confusion. Something that used to feel foggy is starting to become clearer. Not because every person around you has finally explained themselves. Not because the past has handed you every answer you deserved. But because you are no longer needing their clarity to trust your own. And that is a major shift. For a long time, you may have been moving through emotional moonlight, seeing pieces but not the whole picture. Feeling something was off, but still hoping love would explain it. Sensing distance, sensing avoidance, sensing mixed signals, but trying to be patient because part of you wanted to believe the best in them. And there is nothing wrong with that. That came from love. That came from loyalty. That came from the part of you that did not want to give up on something your heart had already chosen. But now you are seeing differently. Moonlight in reverse is showing the moment where illusion starts to lose power. Where the fantasy of who someone could become no longer has more weight than the reality of how they treated you. Where potential is not enough anymore. Where memories are not enough anymore. Where chemistry is not enough to make you abandon yourself. And this is where your transformation becomes the real story. Not the ex. Not even the new person. You. Because you are no longer standing in the same emotional place, asking to be picked. You are no longer available for half love dressed up as depth. You are no longer confusing someone's wounds with permission for them to wound you. That is healing. Quiet healing, powerful healing. The kind of healing that does not need to announce itself because it shows up in what you stop accepting. You stop accepting confusion as connection. You stop accepting silence as something you have to solve. You stop accepting crumbs just because they come from someone you once loved deeply. And that is why both energies are being drawn toward you now. The past is being pulled toward the light you are no longer hiding. The new is being pulled toward the truth you are finally ready to live in. But the real decision coming up may not be between two people. It may be between the version of you who survived the old story and the version of you who is ready to begin a completely new life. And now the card coming through is the Three of Wands in reverse. And this is where the timing becomes even more revealing because the Three of Wands is normally about looking ahead, waiting for something to arrive, standing at the edge of what you have already chosen and watching to see what comes back toward you. But in reverse, this is when waiting starts to change. This is when the delay starts to lose power. This is when the energy that once felt far away begins turning inward, forcing you to ask yourself a very honest question. Am I waiting for love, or am I waiting for someone to become who I needed them to be? And that is why both energies are appearing close together. Not to punish you, not to confuse you, not to make your heart choose under pressure, but to show you the difference between what you have survived and what you are ready to receive. The past person mirrors the part of your story where love felt uncertain, where you had to hope, wait, interpret, forgive, understand, and still wonder if you were asking for too much. They mirror the version of you who stayed open even when the energy coming back was inconsistent. And the new person? They mirror the version of you that is ready for something cleaner. Something that does not require you to abandon your peace just to feel connected. Something that does not make you feel like love has to be chased before it can be trusted. Something that allows you to breathe. And that is the deeper meaning here. The universe is not placing two energies in your path because you need more confusion. It is placing them here because you are finally strong enough to see clearly. One energy shows you how far you have come. The other shows you where you are going. One asks whether you still mistake intensity for destiny. The other asks whether you can recognize peace as love, even when it does not trigger the old ache. And that is not always easy. Because sometimes the past comes with a familiar pull, a familiar voice, a familiar emotional doorway. And even when you know something hurt you, there can still be a part of you that remembers how deeply you wanted it to work. But the Three of Wands in reverse is saying, you are not meant to stand there forever. You are not meant to keep looking back at a shore that could not meet you when you were ready. Something is turning around. Something is coming closer. And the closing energy is going to show what is moving toward you fast and what your heart needs to be ready to receive. And now the final card coming through is the World. And this is the closing energy that brings the entire reading together because the World is completion. It is the end of a cycle. It is the moment where something comes full circle, but not always in the way you expected. Not always through the person finally becoming who you hoped they would be. Not always through the past repairing everything it broke. Sometimes completion comes through you realizing you no longer need the same ending. And that is the plot twist. The Knight of Pentacles showed slow, serious movement coming toward you. The past person has been moving through regret, even if they tried to hide it. The new person has been moving through sincerity, even if you have not fully recognized them yet. And now the world is showing that both energies are arriving around the same time because a chapter in your life is closing, not quietly, not randomly, but clearly. The past may come back because they finally understand what they lost. They may come back with words they should have said before. They may come back with emotion, with explanations, with that familiar pull that once had the power to make you forget your own boundaries. But this time, you are not meeting them from the same place. You are not meeting them as the person who needed their apology in order to feel worthy. You are not meeting them as the person who would accept any small sign just to feel chosen again. You are not meeting them from the wound. You are meeting them from the lesson. And that changes everything. Because the world is not just about something ending. It is about integration. It is about understanding why something happened, what it taught you, what it awakened in you, and why you cannot go back to pretending you do not know better. And then there is this new love, this pure energy. This person who does not have to arrive with chaos to prove they matter. This person who may show you that love can be steady, love can be honest, love can be present. Love can feel safe without feeling empty. And that may be the biggest revelation of all. Love does not have to hurt to be real. Love does not have to make you anxious to be deep. Love does not have to disappear and return for you to believe it is meaningful. So what is coming fast is clarity, not confusion. Clarity about who has changed. Clarity about who is only afraid. Clarity about who sees you now and who only sees you because someone else might. You are not chasing answers anymore. The answers are coming toward you. And when they arrive, you will know what to do, because the real victory was never that someone came back. The real victory is that you came back to yourself.